Hello, folks. Once again, Mars Lachari with MarsGuitar.com, and today we're going to talk about simplifying chords through your current knowledge. It sounds kind of like deep seated and kind of weird, but it's really not. So, I want to get right to it. I want to give you guys one simple concept that I think is great and fantastic just for simple usage. Sometimes when you're in a situation where you're reading chord charts and you're kind of an intermediate player, you're having issues kind of knowing and memorizing certain chords. So for instance, you'll see a chord like a C minor seven chord. Everyone kind of knows a C minor seven chord. Not everybody knows a C minor seven chord, but some people know a C minor seven chord. So if you get in a pinch and you don't know a C minor seven chord, what do you use? A C minor chord. I know it sounds super simple and it sounds ridiculous for me to even explain for some of you, but if you think about it, it's a one note difference. Okay, so a C minor 7 chord, of course, is a 4-note chord. A C minor chord is a 3-note chord. And it's a really simple way to kind of like get through a specific song. Even if it's even more of a complicated chord. For instance, you might see like a D7 flat 9. The flat 9 sound is so strong. But if you're really in a pinch and you don't know what a flat 9 chord is, you can use just a D7 chord, or a D9 chord. So that's actually a good segue too for everybody. Here's a D9 chord, which is kind of a really common chord for blues and some bluesy jazz players. So 7 chords and 9 chords are kind of work in interchangeable predicaments with each other. Of course, they're both 4-note chords, okay, but a ninth chord is a bit fancier. And my buddies back in the day, we used to call them expensive chords because they were 4-note chords. And it's kind of a little joke between me and my buddies back in the day. But basically, what you got is a 4-note chord followed by another 4-note chord. So here's a D9, here's a D7, and then of course here's a D7 flat 9, which is way more dissonant and a little harder to use. But if you're really in a bind, folks, you can really just simplify your chords and just use the block method in the sense of going from a C. Say you have a C major 7, which is a beautiful chord. Of course, C major 7 here, C major 7 chord over here. You can just use a C major chord. Of course, it's not as fancy. It's not as jazzy. It's not as experimental sounding or harmonically wide as a regular major 7 chord, but you can get by. You can get by with just a really simplification of chords in a situation where you're not currently where you need to be yet, and that's why I say that currently yet. So a couple of quick tips to kind of make that a little more understood as well is I'm not a huge fan of using chord encyclopedias. For that reason, I think it's really important to really go to a good instructor like myself, who's been teaching for a long time, to kind of explain to you how chords are constructed. Chord encyclopedias are fine. I'm not anti-chord encyclopedia, but personally, I think it's better to understand the theory of how chords are constructed and kind of figure out ways to learn them kind of on your own. So an encyclopedia is fine. It's a good point of reference if you want something quick, but you'll also see that a lot of times that you're better off learning the theoretical components to what makes a chord actually function. That's one. And then I think a second, really another important point, part of what I'm explaining today too is really learn your diatonic keys. Of course, as we know, there's 12 notes in music and there's 12 keys, and I think it's super important to learn all your diatonic keys. To go to your cycle of fifths, learn your cycle of fifths, and kind of learn every chord in all 12 keys would be super important to understanding the first beginnings of getting to learning more complicated 4-note chords or expensive chords, as we used to call them. So those are two things that I feel that are super important outside of simplifying, is really learning is learning your diatonic keys and not using a chord encyclopedia. Really, find a great instructor. Of course, you can come to marsguitar.com for that and learn some chord construction lessons from me. So those are two things I really wanted to share with you folks today. I felt were super important to kind of get yourself from that intermediate stage of your playing to the more advanced experience playing. Once again, my name is Mars Licciardi with MarsGuitar.com. Please subscribe to my channel. Brand new, just getting started and getting going, and hope to see you soon. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.